Hello, welcome to the fourth session in this mini-series. We made some modifications to the venue and delivery for the session, so I hope you like it. Have you heard the ancient proverb, patience is a virtue? I stumbled on writingexplained.org and I enjoyed their brief summary of the proverb. In essence, it means it is a good quality to be able to tolerate something that takes a long time. Most of us are 3 to 5 weeks into pretty major disruption. How patient are you feeling these days? More than ever, each of us, our family, our community, our nation, even our world is in need of patience. Before diving into the topic of patience, perhaps a little perspective and some personal disclosure might provide a little context. First, a little perspective. Hopefully you or someone close to you is not infected with COVID-19. If that is the case, lack of patience would most likely be far down the list of emotions you're experiencing. So in the scheme of things, if being patient is your biggest challenge during this pandemic, it's probably not so bad. Some personal disclosure from my own journey to becoming more patient. I really didn't care about becoming more patient until my lack of patience got in the way of the people that were more important to me than my being impatient. For me, it was my children. When I saw my lack of patience getting in the way of how I desired to be with them, my willingness to change it did also. Permanent lasting change cannot be imposed from the outside. It must happen from the inside. But seeing the impact on whatever change you'd like to make on those that are most important to you provides a tremendous drive to make it happen. It's not easy to make a change, but it is possible, and it's possible when the change, the outcome you intend, becomes more important than staying the same. For most of us, the normal day-to-day routines before the onset of the pandemic were challenging enough to remain patient. But these disconcerting times find our patience being tested in a whole new way, especially with no identifiable end in sight. If you're finding it really difficult to tolerate something that is taking a long time, you may not want to work on becoming more patient in order to become more virtuous, as the proverb states, but for the sake of your own sanity and for the sake of those around you. To grow in patience, consider change in 4 steps. First, a clear, defined, vivid goal of a new normal for patience. Second, becoming self-aware of your starting point in relationship to that picture. Third, insight from others. Don't feel that you have to go it alone. Gathering insight is a necessity to your success. Fourth, an action plan for specific changes you are willing to make to reach the new picture. The first step, you need a clearly identified, vivid, relevant, and compelling goal. It needs to be something you want to do, not something that you feel that you have to do. This is not about coercing yourself to become more patient. It is about wanting to become more patient because of the value you will receive and the value those of you around will receive as a result of your patience. Driving yourself to clarity of what patience would look like and feel like provides you a magnetic north, a vivid and compelling picture of patience to you, filled with real emotions of fulfillment and accomplishment for having reached it. Once you have a clear, vivid, and compelling picture of patience, the next step is becoming self-aware of where you are presently in relationship to your replacement picture. This step is essential to your success because it is necessary to know how far you need to go. Patience, according to dictionary.com, the bearing of being provoked, annoyed, or to suffer misfortune or pain without complaint, loss of temper, irritation, or the like. An ability or willingness to suppress restlessness or annoyance when confronted with delay. If the definition of patience is the starting point, how accurately does it apply to you? When you are out of patience, do you simply get irritated and keep it to yourself? Or do you get annoyed and openly complain to others? Or do you lose your temper? When confronted with a delay, do you suppress your annoyance and calmly deal with it? Or does your impatience get the better of you and it's obvious to everyone around you? If you recall the GPS example from an earlier session, you need a clearly identified destination. a vivid and compelling destination, which was the first step. But you also need to know how far you are from getting there. By becoming acutely aware of your starting point, it opens up your mind to ideas, creativity, and problem solving to develop an action plan to accomplish that which you intend. The third step is insight. It is crucial to both self-awareness in step 2 and determining actual behaviors that drive change in step 4. As human beings, we are limited by our own perceptions. So we need insight from trusted others. When we have a hole in our perception, it just means we fail to see. Not that the information isn't there, we just don't see it or perceive it. Those of us that can be a little impatient have probably gotten feedback on our impatience before. But if we weren't careful, we may have dismissed the feedback, defended our lack of patience due to circumstances of the situation, perhaps argued about it, or flat out claimed that it never happened that way. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen that way, just from our perspective, we didn't see it that way. Therefore, we need others to give us feedback. They see things that we don't, so we need to ask, and just as importantly, we need to listen and be open to the feedback. At the heart of emotional intelligence is the ability to be self-aware of our own feelings and behaviors. The final step is change. What changes are you willing to make in order to reach your replacement picture of patience? What behaviors match the new picture of patience, not the old one? Consider this simple exercise. Think of the last time impatience got the better of you. But this time, see yourself in the same situation, handling it more patiently. See yourself performing different actions which require you to use patience. Feel the emotions associated with those replacement actions, and most importantly, the more positive end result. During the pandemic, in addition to many of our own disruptions, like working or schooling from home, many of you have become your kid's teacher. You didn't choose homeschooling, it is just the circumstance of the times. Perhaps you have had some of the following challenges. You can't get them to start their work. They do the wrong assignment. You have explained how to do the same problem for the third time. They keep interrupting you with questions as you're trying to do your own work. Many new scenarios given these times, which have tried your patience in new ways. If you are not pleased with your current behavior and lack of patience in response to these events, then how would you redo your behaviors to match the replacement picture of patience? Patience is a virtue, a good quality to be able to tolerate something that takes a long time. This pandemic has already taken more time than any of us would prefer, so patience is running thin even for the best of us. A desire to change is one thing. The willingness to work toward change is another. Growth takes effort. To stay the same, not so much. Our willingness to put forth the effort and work the steps to change and grow is directly proportionate to the desire we have to achieve the outcome. Understanding a process that will result in becoming more patient is not the challenge. Applying the process to become more patient is. Permanent, lasting change cannot be imposed from the outside. It must happen from the inside. But seeing the impact on whatever change you'd like to make on those that are most important to you provides a tremendous drive to make it happen. It's not easy to make a change, but it is possible. And it's very possible when the change, the outcome you intend, becomes more important than you staying the same. Lou Tice, the co-founder of the Pacific Institute, used to always say, "It's not what you know, it's what you use of what you know that will make all the difference." Be well and stay healthy.